Have you ever wanted to play a retro horror hunting sim about stapling squirrels to a questionable hunk of meat? Yes? No? Maybe? Well, what if I told you it was made by the same guy who made Iron Lung and Dusk? Hey everyone, Dave or Effie here. I recently moved to a new place, which is why things have been pretty quiet on the channel lately. I'm still working on getting everything set up, so don't mind the layout for now, but it is nice to be able to work on some videos again. Anyways, those of you who already know about Squirrel Stapler are probably wondering why I'm doing a video on a Game Jam game from 2020. You see, Squirrel Stapler originally appeared as one of the short games in the horror anthology Dread X Collection 2, which is an ongoing series put together by the people at Dread XP. But now, years after many of those games have faded into obscurity, Squirrel Stapler returned as a standalone project on Steam. I don't really know why David chose to remaster Squirrel Stapler now. I guess the contract terms for the Dread X collection could have ended recently. Regardless, I've played some of the Dread X collection games in the past, but I never got around to actually trying out the original Squirrel Stapler. Even so, I've heard a lot about the game just from all the memes floating around, usually featuring low-res squirrel JPEGs or some variation of God is coming. So after stumbling upon the announcement on Twitter, I decided to give the new release a spin. The store page lists a handful of vague things that make it sound like a massive overhaul from the original version. That's cool and all, but what is the game actually like? Well, it's pretty much exactly as you'd expect. You walk around a vaguely N64-esque forest and hunt comically large squirrels. After bagging them, you take them back to your cabin to staple them to a body on the wall, for rather silly reasons. Aside from hunting, there's some lore notes you can discover, as well as a shady shack where you can go daily to commit sins. Whatever that means. On the wall of the hunting cabin is some graffiti mentioning that God is coming in 5 days, each of which becomes progressively harder by introducing new mechanics. Was the 5-day structure chosen as a nod to Five Nights at Freddy's, or did David just run out of time rushing to finish this game for the Dread X collection? I don't know, but the game does make good use of this repeated day structure. From the original squirrel hunting, to giant squirrels, to ghost squirrels, to killer bear squirrels, the constant evolution moves along at a pretty good pace. Although one of my only gripes with the game is there isn't anything new added on the last day. Sure, it's slightly harder with more bear squirrels patrolling, but otherwise it's the same as the day before it. But overall that's a minor concern, as the game moves along pretty quickly and hits you with a nice zinger right at the end. If you don't want spoilers for the grand finale this has all been building up to, just skip ahead to the next part of the video. Up until the ending, Squirrel Stapler is a goofy, albeit well-made micro-horror game. However, just like Iron Lung, the ending is where it all comes together in the best way. Once you complete all the objectives for the day, you get an ominous countdown once again telling you that God is coming. It's both silly and spooky at the same time, setting the perfect mood for a very memorable ending. When the timer runs out, the chorus begins screeching, "God is here," and well, this happens. In some ways, it's a similar jump scare ending as Iron Lung, but on the other hand, there's no loud noise to go with the visuals of seeing God. Instead, the game lets the creepy chorus really sell the scene, and it works pretty well. It's definitely not as scary as Iron Lung or anything, but that doesn't lessen the impact of seeing it for yourself for the very first time. Now listen, as someone who really doesn't like jump scares in horror games, I have to concede that David knows how to pull them off. Both Squirrel Stapler and Iron Lung do a great job of ramping up tension over a long period of time before dumping it all at once into one big scare. If more horror games had jump scares like this, instead of the generic creaky door or man walking past window, I wouldn't have as much of a problem with them. Anyways, it's pretty clear by now that David has some very weird ideas and the skills to really bring them to life. Which reminds me, have you ever heard of a subreddit called bread stapled to trees? It was a pretty minor meme a few years ago where people stapled bread to trees around the world and shared their accomplishments online. Now I don't have any hard evidence, but knowing that David is a pretty infamous shitposter, it's reasonable to assume that the idea of stapling squirrels was at least partially influenced by this meme. But that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to this game. There's actually a ton of bonus content, secrets, and other interesting stuff hidden within the game. Even from a quick look through the files, I was able to find quite a lot of stuff that would make for a pretty fun deep dive. And I'm not just talking about hidden notes and lore, but stuff like entirely new games tucked away inside Squirrel Stapler. So if there's enough interest, I'd gladly take the time to do some more research and report back with everything I've found. I normally wouldn't say there's enough hidden content in a game to warrant a follow-up video, but I'm really considering making an exception here. So if you'd like to see more or less of Squirrel Stapler, let me know either way. And in the meantime, don't forget to commit your daily sins. But until next time, have a good one, folks.